You are at a diner, $200 bistro, someone you love sitting right across from you, but you are not there. Your body is in the chair, but your mind is 3 miles away, stuck on a Slack thread, looping on a problem that has no answer at 8 p.m. That's not stress, that's just being busy. That is your brain running an unreliable internal plan because you never gave it a reliable external one. Cal Newport calls this the work ghost, the mental rumination that hijacks the moment you try to be a human being. Your brain won't stop spinning because it doesn't trust you. Your brain runs open loops like background apps, invisible, draining battery, slowing everything else down. Incomplete tasks haunt your attention. They steal your presence, they steal your recovery. Your brain isn't broken, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. The problem is, you never told it the business was finished. Welcome to the final masterclass in this deep work series. This isn't just about productivity hacks, this is a philosophy of existence. In video 1, we built the biological case, how myelination physically upgrades your brain. In video 2, we exposed attention residue, how a 2-second check costs you an hour of output. In video 3, we discussed the pull system and slow productivity. In video 4, the boredom tolerance, the kitchen charger habit, and the 90-second rule. Today, we bring it all home. Humanistic productivity. Most productivity content tells you to do more, get up earlier, move faster, optimize every minute. That's not productivity. That's just a more efficient version of being lost. Humanistic productivity says the point of getting better at work is so you can be more fully human outside of it. Deep life with purpose, not just a productive life, a deep life with purpose. That's the deep life stack. If you don't give your brain a reliable external plan, it will keep running an unreliable internal one. The work ghost doesn't haunt disciplined people. It haunts people whose brain don't trust them. Here's how you build that trust. Your brain will resist this. It will say there's always one more thing. Let us say that, but you do the ritual anyway, the shutdown ritual. Bluma Zeigarnik discovered in the 1920s that incomplete tasks stay active in your working memory. Waiters remembered every unfilled order in detail. The moment the order was delivered, gone, cleared, released. But here's the part no one talks about. You don't have to finish the task to close the loop. You just have to convince your brain that the task has a plan. That's the entire mechanism of the shutdown ritual. You aren't finishing the work, you are just closing the loop. Before the ritual, frantic, haunted. After, sovereign, calm, and complete. This is a neurological state you can engineer every single day. To move from a frantic professional to a sovereign operator, execute the stack in this order. Step 1. Install the 3 Keystone Habits. These are not goals, these are identity markers. Daily proof that you are someone who does hard things. Habit 1. Every morning, before you touch a single inbox, 30 minutes of deep work before the noise starts. Habit 2. Every day, a 20-minute walk, total silence, no music, no podcasts, just the rhythm of your thoughts. This is productive meditation, your brain connecting dots, building scaffolding that distracted mind never gets to build. Step 3. Every night, 10 pages of a physical book, not a screen, a physical book. I know you think you're too tired, but this isn't about the pages. It's about training your brain to move slowly through something that demands your full attention. Write these 3 habits on an index card, not your phone, not an app, an actual index card on your desk. If you miss a day, you haven't just skipped a task, you have suffered an identity lapse. The notification bell does not control you, these 3 habits do. Step 2. The kitchen charger habit. We introduced this in video 4. Go back for the full breakdown, but in this final stack, it serves a different purpose. The moment you walk through your front door, your phone gets on a dedicated charger in the kitchen. If you want to check it, you walk there, you stand, and then you walk away. That tiny inconvenience isn't inconvenient. Friction is the feature, not the bug. 99% of people have their phone in their pocket, on the dinner table, on the nightstand. They think they are in control of it. They are not. It's in control of them. The kitchen charger signals to your brain the on call portion of your identity has been deactivated. You are no longer the professional, you are the human. Step 3, the 15-minute shutdown. Pick a fixed end time, 5:30. Run the same algorithm every single day. First, a final inbox scan, genuine emergencies only. If it can wait until tomorrow, it waits. Second, every loose task, every brain dump into your trusted system, out of your head and into the system. Third, review the next 48 hours. Confirm there are no surprises. Then write your first move for tomorrow morning. Not a vague intention, a specific first move. Like, at 8 am, I'm open the document and write the first 3 paragraphs. That's specific. And then say it loud. Shutdown complete. I know it sounds cheesy, say it anyway. This is a conditioned trigger. Your brain hears those words and receives a signal. I have a plan, the loops are closed. You are allowed to stop thinking about work. But here's the part most people skip, the timing. Set a recurring alarm for 5:15 pm. Label it as ritual begins. If you start the shutdown at 5:30, you are already late to your life. 5:15, begin closing the loops. 5:30, say the words. 5:31, you become a human being. Step 4, the pull system cue. You have covered this across videos 1, 2 and 3, but here's how it plugs into the final stack. Stop juggling 20 projects. Only 3 initiatives active at any time. 3, not 5, not about 3, only 3. Everything else goes into the waiting queue. You only pull a new project when one of the top 3 is finished. This isn't about just doing less. It's about collapsing the overhead that drains energy from work that actually matters. The pull system doesn't just organize your projects, it kills the ghosts. Every project in the queue has a home. Your brain knows that and it stops looping. Step 5, Carb-Load Your Leisure. The second half of your day is not downtime, it is recovery infrastructure, nutritious leisure, real conversation, physical crafts, deep reading. These rebuild the mental metabolism you need to go deep again tomorrow. Think of it as charging the battery, not 40%, 100% every night. Your brain will tell you leisure is lazy. That voice is lying to you. Mindless scrolling is not recovery, it is stimulation consumption. It keeps the background hum of anxiety running. If your evening is spent in a feed, you aren't recovering, you're staying stagnant. Treat your leisure with the same intentionality as a board meeting. Schedule it, protect it, show up for it. Now, coming to the final twist, deoptimize the gold medal. High achievers don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because they treat the plan like a fragile masterpiece. A meeting runs long, a child gets sick, the schedule breaks, and they quit. Not the day, not the job, the intention. Crossed out days, broken weeks, that is not failure, that is just Tuesday. Every elite operator expects the plan to fail by midday. Not hopes it won't, he expects it. Because the value is not in perfect adherence, the value is in the act of planning itself. When your day collapses at 1 pm, take 5 minutes, scuttle the schedule, build a new plan for the hours that remain. The 99% responds by working faster and shallower, more frantic, more shallow, more stagnant. The sovereign operator rebuilds, calm, intentional, realistic. Now you have the whole stack and the permission to let the plan fail and rebuild it. This is not a productivity system, this is a philosophy. Go back to that dinner, candlelight, good food, someone you love sitting right across from you. Now you're actually there. Not because the work is finished, but because you told your brain it is. Become the sovereign professional. Shutdown complete. In a world full of people busy doing nothing, the most dangerous person at the table is the one who can actually be present. That is the real edge. Go find yours.